So finally, we understood that the Tipu Sultan lost the war against the British people in the year of 1799. Okay, see, Tipu Sultan was killed defending his capital Srirangapatnam. So finally, even he was there in the Srirangapatnam. Srirangapatnam. Finally, he was killed by the British people there only in his capital. Okay. See, Mysore was placed under the former ruling dynasty of the Wadayars, and a subsidiary alliance was imposed on the state. Okay, fine. So finally you people understood, right? So as I told you people, these people are the Odayar. They are the former rulers of the Mysore dynasty. So the finally again, the power, the ruling power came back to the from Tipu, the Hyder Ali, to this Wadaya family only. Okay, so even now we can see at the time of Dasara, we can see now also the Wadaya family is only, they are only owning that palace. And also once if you people visit the Mysore palace, then you can see in detail about this Wadaya family, Hyder Ali, Tipu Sultan, everyone. Okay, fine children. So finally it came back to the Wadaya family, but they imposed subsidiary alliance. What do you mean by subsidiary alliance, children? In the last class, we have studied about subsidiary alliance. As I told you people, it's very much important. What is that? That means no Indian rulers should have their own army. Instead of that, they have to pay some amount or royalty or the alliance to the British people. They will maintain an army, and if anything necessary, they will help us or they will send that. So for that we have to pay some amount for them to maintain the army. So if any Indian ruler is failed to pay that amount, what happens? They have to pay the penalty. What is that penalty? They have to give their, the half of their, the dynasty or empire. Okay, so we have seen in the last class about that Tanjavur, Hyderabad, I know all those places were examples for that. Okay, so finally Tipu Sultan's administration came to an end because he was very powerful, he was very ambitious. So if he continues in his rule, finally it will be a threat to this British people. So that's the reason they finally ended his administration. Okay, and next we can see about the Marathas. So as we seen, after the Mughals, the Marathas, they were the very strongest people and they were ruling in the India. Yes or no? So finally, the Marathas, how the war between the Marathas and British people carried over. See here. From the late 18th century, the company also sought to curb and eventually destroy Maratha power. So as we seen, the British people, it was not easy for them at a time to, end the power of the many other dynasty people. So that is the reason what they were doing, children. So that's the reason, they were not directly attacking them with their army. Slowly they were with the politically, with the economically, and some cunning activities they were doing, and they were taking the power. Okay. So finally what happened after, around the late 18th century, this British people thought and they started to check, and eventually very slowly they tried to destroy this Maratha power. Okay, that time they were the, the very biggest and the powerful power that we could have seen. Okay, see. With their defeat in the Third Battle of Panipat in 1761, the Marathas' dream of ruling the Delhi was shattered. So finally, even this people, the Marathas, the British fought against Marathas also, not only single war they won. They also had so many battles. So finally, the Third Battle of Panipat in the year of 1761. When, children? in the year of 1761, the Third Battle of Panipat. Okay, in the third battle only, this British people finally, they destroyed, they finally, the Marathas lost the war against this British people. So due to this third battle of Panipat, when they lost, the Marathas lost, so their idea or their dream of ruling the Delhi, that time Delhi was you know, the the dream place for the many people to rule that particular place. Okay, so finally even that dream of ruling the Delhi was shattered. It is closed because they lost the third battle of Panipat. Okay, guys, here in this chapter they are just giving you people just an introduction how the things happened. They are not explaining anything in detail. Okay, so just try to understand what are all the events which has happened. Okay, see, they were divided into many states under different chiefs, that is, we call it as a sardars, belonging to dynasties such as Sindhya, Holkar, Gaikwad and Bhonsle. So finally what happened, as we seen, the Maratha was the very biggest, the empire. Finally what happened, they lost the war against this British people. So finally due to this, whatever the entire Maratha, this empire was divided into small states. Okay, they divided into small states and they made under the different heads. We call it as a chiefs. Okay, so those people belonging to different dynasties, such as it may be the Sindhya, it may be Holkar, and it may be Gaikwad, and it may be like a Bhonsle. Okay, after that these chiefs were held together in a confederate, under a Peshwa. That is, a Peshwa means a person is like a superior or a head. We'll call it as a principal minister. Okay, there was a head for them also. For all the chiefs, there was a head. We'll call it as a principal minister, that is Peshwa, who became its effective military and administrative head based in the Pune. So finally what happened, there will be, for all the chiefs, there was a single head or the prime minister. That we'll call it as a Peshwa. Okay, so he was like a military and administrative head for all these chiefs. Okay, yes. Mahatji Sindhya and Nana Padnis were two famous Maratha soldiers and statesmen of the late 18th century. Guys, remember these two names? That is, one it is Mahatji Sindhya and Nana, the Padnis. Okay, the two names you have to remember. They were the famous Maratha soldiers. Okay, they were the famous Maratha soldiers and the statesmen of the late 18th century, like a Peshwas. Okay, and the Marathas were subdued in a series of wars. So finally what happened? The Marathas were subdued in a series of wars. They lost many wars. Okay, the many series of wars. So finally what happened? With the series of war, they lowered themselves. They became weak. Okay, they lost the many parts of this Maratha empire also. Okay, see. In the first war that ended in 1782 with the Treaty of Salbhai, there was no clear victor. So in the first war, again they had the Anglo-Maratha War. Okay, the first Anglo-Maratha War. Again what happened? In the year of 1782 it ended, but there was no proper victory for them. No, it is like not even the British won, not even the Marathas won. Okay, so they had a Treaty of Salbhai. And then see, the second Anglo-Maratha War in the year of 1803 to 1805 was fought on different fronts, resulting in the British gaining Orissa and the territories the north of the Yamuna river, including Agra and Delhi. So finally, as I told you people, the series of war, due to that what happened, it weakened the Marathas. Okay, so finally what happened, the Marathas, they became weaker themselves. So finally, the first Maratha, the Anglo-Maratha War, there was a treaty of Salbhai. And again in the second Anglo-Maratha War, what happened? Again, they lost many places. The Marathas lost many places, okay, like Orissa and even the territories like a north of the Yamuna river, that is including the Agra and Delhi. Even that parts also, it has taken over by the British people. So finally what happened, they started to become very weak and their parts, other territories started to go with the hands of British control. Okay, see here. Finally, the Third Anglo-Maratha War of 1817 and 1819 crushed the Maratha power. So hope you guys understood, right? How slowly the British people came to India with the idea of trade, and how slowly they started to take over the control of the political activities and the economic activities of our country. Okay, so finally what happened, children? The one by one, slowly, the area by area, territory by territory, they started to attack and they started to take the control over that particular territory. So finally, even here, even the Marathas, the Maratha Empire or the dynasty lost instead of, in the against this British people. With this Third Anglo-Maratha War, finally the Marathas, they lost the war and, the British crushed the power of Marathas. Okay, see, the Peshwa was removed and sent away to Bithur near Kanpur with the pension. So the Peshwas, that is, they were the head, the Marathas empire, the dynasty was divided into, the very small states, and it was under the control of the different chiefs, and for those all the chiefs there was a head. Yes, who's that head? The prime minister, that is Peshwa. Okay, so once this Marathas lost the war, this is Third Anglo, the Anglo-Maratha War. Finally, what happened? They removed the Peshwa also. Finally, the entire Maratha power has been crushed. Okay, see, the company now had complete control over the territories south of the Vindhyas. So finally, what happened? The maximum places, you can see here, children, the maximum places was under the control of this British people. Okay, the company took the control of the maximum power of India, all the places. Okay, hope you guys understood, right? In today's class, we understood about Tipu Sultan and the Marathas, the war between Tipu Sultan and the British, and the Marathas and between the British. So in this chapter, we are just understanding in brief, children, not in detail. Okay, so just understand the events, what and all happened. Okay, I'll go for recapitulation. Just see the first question, that is, explain about Tipu Sultan and his administration and army. So you can explain about the Tipu Sultan and his administration, because he was very ambitious, he was very, the strong, powerful, dangerous person, the British people thought. So that is the reason they tried to crush him. And his administration, what happened? He controlled, or he banned the export activities, and his army was very powerful because he took our modernized army. He took the help of French people, that and all you can explain. And how many wars fought between British and Tipu? How many wars? And at the last war, what happened also? You have to explain. Okay. And explain about the War of Maratha. About the Marathas, you just explain in detail what and all happened. Okay. About all the India, the Anglo-Maratha War, along with that Battle of Panipat also. Okay. Hope you guys understood the concepts, children. If any doubts, just let me know. Okay, hope you all are making your own notes.